now have breaking news.
Here in Michigan, we take pride in our sand dunes, and that's why 9 and 10 got out to Silver Lake for dune buggy rides. Silver Lake Buggy Rentals in Mears put the 9 and 10 News crew behind the wheel to show us why this activity lives up to the thrill.
Oh, it's great. We have a family come back, and the dad is smiling, the mom is smiling, and the kids are happy and wanting to do it again. There's no better feeling. A lot to do. It's one of the most sought after places in Michigan, I think, for family entertainment.
They've been doing this a long time, rivaling even most buggy rentals in the country.
It is the longest one in Silver Lake. It is the second oldest, as far as my wife and I running it in the United States.
Let's get you in, show you the basic controls, okay?
It was our first time putting the pedal to the metal on the dunes.
Easy.
So we can assure it's a fun thrill, even for newcomers.
There's a lot of good memories. Not that it isn't challenging. Anytime when you're dealing with the public and in a situation they're unfamiliar with, there's a lot of training and stuff that goes on. So we try our best, we provide guides, we provide assistance whenever we can.
And even for those dune veterans, the experience can be different every time.
A lot of people come one day and maybe later that week, they go up to Mackinac Island and come back because they want to do this again. And they'll come back from the dunes and say they can't believe how much it changed, during the 3 or 4 days they were gone. It will always change. It's what we call a live dunes. It's continually shifting, and it makes it a more fun experience for multiple times.
With the constant shifting of the dunes, it's important to use caution.
You have to be careful. You don't want to nosedive a vehicle or get airborne and end up upside down. So we caution against such driving behavior. But yeah, it's very steep down and very steep up in many places.
Oh my goodness, this is oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
And it can be surprising, and it can change within an hour or even less during a windstorm.
And the scenery on the dunes makes it that much more worth your while.
I would argue this is the best beach in the world. It's really a nice place, it really is. And we have very pristine beaches here.
And they have a message for all thrill seekers out there.
Come and visit us. Give us a chance, you'll have a great time and you'll be back.
So she worked that night, and then she went downstairs and listened to Polly finish out his set. And once they wrapped up, she got on her bike to head home.
It's just before 2 a.m. on July 5th, 2013, as Kelly Boyce Hurlburt begins her bike ride home after spending the night working at North Peak Brewing Company.
Especially that time of year, would take their bikes to and from work all the time just to not have to deal with the car and the traffic, and she would ride into town constantly instead of driving.
But as she neared the end of her journey home along Washington Street, Kelly was hit.
I woke up to a phone call saying we needed to get up to Travers. It was bad. We needed to get to the hospital as soon as possible.
Kelly was dragged for more than a block, somehow entangled in the vehicle that hit her.
They did everything they could and took her in, and there was just nothing they could do.
Now police need your help finding the driver who hit and killed a Traverse City woman. Kelly Boyce was riding home on her bike, doing everything right. She was along the curb, riding with the flow.
At first, it was a big shock, to understand it. And when we first started getting the initial, the first couple days, we thought it was, was it a horrific accident? What happened? As time has went on, I personally don't feel that's the case now, especially after all these years. I think it was intentional.
In late June of this year, Kelly's family and Traverse City Police once again held a news conference, hoping to bring in more tips, possibly the one that could help solve the case after a decade of hoping and waiting.
Some of the tips have led us to tips that we've already worked on, but there are a few that are new information, and like I said, it's time for some closure for the family and some justice, and also some closure for the officers that were involved that night, and for the detectives that have been working on this case for the last 10 years.
Her life was cut short. I mean, she was just innocently riding home from work one night. And is there others that this has happened to? I mean, it's not fair. She was taken way too soon from us. She's missed all these years that were taken from her and taken from us. And whoever did this shouldn't be able to walk around and not have to pay for what they did and what they took from us.
If you have any information on who hit and killed Kelly Boyce Hurlburt, contact the Traverse City Police Department. The FBI is also offering a $25,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction. For 9 and 10 News, I'm David Leiden.
Wherever Mom was going, I was going, and we were going fast. So yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Stephanie Belenka still has vivid memories of her mother, Brenda Martinez.
She liked music. We used to listen to a lot of the radio back then. She was a great host. Like I said, she hosted the family, she hosted her friends.
And December of 1988 had all the makings of what would be another memory-filled holiday season. Brenda went to use a payphone at the corner of Fenton and West Atherton Roads in Flint on the 22nd, but she never returned home. Stephanie was just 6 years old.
There was a moment that you just remember suddenly not feeling safe.
That's your comfort, that's your person. She was all I had. And then she was gone. And nobody could explain why.
Brenda's body wouldn't be found until several days after the new year at this park outside of Flint. Her death would be ruled a homicide.
I think there was a long time, even after the funeral and everything, you just kind of have this magical thinking, like, one day she's just gonna walk in the door, you know, it was a bad dream, or it was a mistake, or somebody was confused. Maybe she just got lost, she's gonna come back. So that was definitely hard as a kid, trying to come to terms with such a big loss when you're so little.
Stephanie was sent to live with relatives in northern Michigan, all the time wondering what happened to her mom and why.
We've tried getting answers for years, and it's just, you just want that back. You want to be safe. You want to feel home. And so that's something that you just do your best to have for your own children, because there's a part of you that will never understand how that happened.
It's the same question police have tried to answer for decades, but the case has largely remained cold, with few details made public.
This is somebody that's very important, maybe not to you, but to her family and her friends. She was kind of like the glue. She held us all together. And she enjoyed that. She enjoyed us being together. So we definitely want to try to find out what happened and bring some closure for her legacy and for my children and for myself and, the friends and family that are still wondering what happened and why.
For now, Stephanie and her family will continue to wait as they keep sharing her mother's story, hoping to one day bring the case to a close.
Why isn't always the most important part, but being able to have your day in court, I guess, and look at that person and say, I know what you did, and now everybody else does too. And seeing them come to terms with that is something I think would give me more closure than anything.
If you have any information about what happened to Brenda Martinez, call the Richfield Township Police Department in Genesee County. For 9 and 10 News, I'm David Leiden.